My identical twin has been pretending to be me. My fiancé couldn't tell the difference. Something has been wrong for months, and I'm only just now figuring out what it is. I'm Alexis, 31, and I have an identical twin sister named Avery. We look so much alike that even our own mother mixed us up sometimes when we were kids. Same height, same build, same face. The only real difference is that I have a small scar on my left eyebrow from a childhood accident, and Avery doesn't. You'd only notice if you were looking for it. Avery and I used to be close. Growing up, we had that twin bond everyone talks about, finishing each other's sentences, knowing what the other was thinking. But somewhere in our 20s, things shifted. Avery started competing with me in this weird way. If I got a promotion, she'd suddenly announce she was applying for better jobs. If I bought a new dress, she'd show up in the same one. If I mentioned liking a guy, she'd flirt with him. I thought it was just sibling rivalry, the kind that would fade as we got older. It didn't. 2 years ago, I met Derek. He's a software engineer, kind and steady, the type of person who makes you feel calm just being around him. We got engaged 8 months ago. Small proposal, just the two of us on a hiking trail we both love. It was perfect. Avery seemed happy for us. She came to the engagement party, helped me look at wedding venues, acted like a supportive sister. I thought maybe she'd finally moved past whatever competitive phase she'd been in. But things started getting weird about 6 months ago. Derek began mentioning conversations we supposedly had that I didn't remember. Little things at first. "Thanks for bringing me lunch today," he'd say. "That sandwich place you suggested was great." Except I hadn't brought him lunch. I'd been in meetings all afternoon. "You don't remember?" he'd ask, looking confused. "You came by my office around 1. We ate in the conference room." I'd laugh it off. Maybe I was forgetting things. Work had been stressful. Maybe I'd brought him lunch and it had just slipped my mind. Then there was the time he thanked me for the birthday gift I supposedly left on his desk, an expensive watch I'd never seen before. Or the night he mentioned how much he had enjoyed our spontaneous dinner date when I'd actually been at a work training session 2 hours away. Every time I'd point out that I hadn't done these things, Derek would look at me strangely. "Are you feeling okay? You're acting like you don't remember half the things we do together." It started to make me feel crazy. Was I having memory problems? Early onset dementia? Some kind of dissociative disorder? I went to a doctor, got a full neurological workup. Everything came back normal. The doctor suggested stress, maybe anxiety causing memory gaps. She recommended therapy, so I started seeing a therapist. Dr. Morrison was patient and thorough. We talked about stress management, about wedding planning anxiety, about work pressure, but the memory issues kept happening. Derek started commenting on my mood swings. He'd say I was affectionate and playful one day, then distant and confused the next. He thought I was having cold feet about the wedding. "If you're not sure about getting married, we can talk about it," he'd say gently. "You don't have to pretend everything's fine." But I wasn't pretending. I was just confused about why he thought I was acting differently when I felt like I was being myself. Our sex life got weird too. Derek mentioned trying new things I supposedly suggested. Positions, role play scenarios, stuff that wasn't really my style. When I'd seem confused, he'd get frustrated. "You literally asked me to do this last week. Why are you acting like you don't know what I'm talking about?" I started wondering if Derek was gaslighting me. Maybe he was making things up, trying to make me doubt my own memory. I researched gaslighting, read articles about psychological abuse. Some of it fit, but Derek wasn't mean about it. He seemed genuinely confused by my confusion, like he truly believed these things had happened. 3 weeks ago, something happened that made me start questioning everything differently. Derek's coworker posted photos from a team happy hour on social media. I was tagged in one of them, a group shot of the whole team at a bar downtown. Except I hadn't been at that happy hour. I'd been home that night watching Netflix and doing laundry. I looked at the photo more carefully. There I was, or someone who looked exactly like me, standing next to Derek with his arm around my waist, smiling, holding a drink, looking completely comfortable. The timestamp on the photo was from 2 weeks ago, Thursday evening. I remembered that night clearly because I'd been annoyed that Derek went to the happy hour without inviting me. He'd said it was just a quick work thing that I wouldn't be interested. But apparently I had been there. According to the photo, I'd been right next to him the whole time. I called Derek immediately. "Did I go to your team happy hour 2 weeks ago?" "Yeah, of course. You suggested it, remember? You said you wanted to meet my coworkers." "Derek, I was home that night. I didn't go." Long pause. "Alexis, you were there. I have a photo of us together." "I know, I saw it, but it wasn't me." "What are you talking about? Who else would it be?" And that's when it hit me. Who else looks exactly like me? Was Avery there? Your sister? No. Why would your sister be at my work happy hour? Derek, are you absolutely sure it was me? I'm looking at the photo right now. That's you. Same height, same hair, same face. That's definitely you. Did I have my scar on my eyebrow? Silence. What scar? The scar on my left eyebrow from when I fell off the swing set when we were 7. Do I have a scar in that photo? More silence as he zoomed in. I can't really tell from this angle. But Alexis, that's you. I was with you all night. We got drinks, we talked to my team, you charmed everyone. I drove you home afterwards. You drove someone home, but it wasn't me. This is insane. You're saying your twin sister pretended to be you at my work event, and I didn't notice? I'm saying it's possible. He didn't believe me. He thought the stress was making me paranoid. We fought about it. The first real fight we had had in our entire relationship. After we hung up, I started going through everything with new eyes. Every unexplained conversation, every memory I supposedly didn't have, every time Derek said I was acting different. What if it wasn't me acting different? What if it was literally a different person? I called Avery. She answered on the 3rd ring. "Hey, Lex, what's up? Have you been seeing Derek?" "What? No. Why would I be seeing Derek? Have you been pretending to be me?" She laughed. "Are you okay? That's a weird question." "Avery, I'm serious. Have you been impersonating me?" "Alexis, no. I don't know what's going on with you lately, but you sound paranoid. Maybe you should talk to your therapist about this." She sounded so genuine, so concerned, like I was the crazy one. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was onto something. I started paying attention to small things. I checked my apartment for signs that someone else had been there. Found nothing obvious, but then I remembered Avery had a spare key to my apartment. I'd given it to her years ago for emergencies. I changed my locks the next day. Didn't tell Avery. Then I started documenting everything. Every time Derek mentioned something I didn't remember, I wrote it down with dates and details. Every time he said I'd done something or been somewhere I hadn't, I made note of it. A pattern emerged. The incidents always happened on days when I had evening work commitments or when I was traveling for work. Days when I wasn't available, but when someone who looked exactly like me could show up in my place. I also started noticing that Derek would sometimes mention I was wearing perfume I didn't own, or that my hair looked different when I was sure I hadn't changed anything. "You always smell so good," he'd say, pulling me close. "What is that perfume?" I'd smell my own wrist. "I'm not wearing perfume." "Yes, you are. You've been wearing it for months, that floral scent." "I don't wear floral scents. I'm allergic to most flowers." But apparently the person who had been pretending to be me wasn't. 2 weeks ago, I set a trap. I told Derek I had a work conference in Seattle for 3 days. I even showed him the confirmation email, the hotel booking, everything. He believed me completely. But I didn't go to Seattle. I took time off work and stayed with my friend Rachel across town. Then, I asked Rachel to stake out my apartment building with me. I wanted to see if anyone tried to enter my apartment while I was supposedly out of town. We parked across the street with a clear view of the entrance, waited for hours. I felt ridiculous, like I was in some paranoid thriller movie. Then, at 7 p.m., I saw her. Avery walked up to my building entrance. She didn't knock, she didn't buzz. She walked right in like she lived there, which she couldn't because I'd changed the locks. Except, apparently, she'd gotten a new key somehow. 20 minutes later, she came back out, wearing my clothes. My favorite blue sweater, my jeans, even my shoes. She'd styled her hair exactly like mine. If I hadn't been watching for her specifically, I wouldn't have known it wasn't me. She got in her car and drove away. Rachel grabbed my arm. Oh my God, Alexis, she really is pretending to be you. I felt sick. Where is she going? We followed her. She drove straight to Derek's apartment. Rachel and I sat in her car outside Derek's apartment building, watching Avery, dressed as me, walk through the front entrance like she belonged there. "What do we do?" Rachel whispered. "I don't know. I need to think. Should we go up there? Confront them?" Part of me wanted to storm up there immediately, but another part needed to know more. How long had this been happening? How many times had Avery been with Derek while I was away? What exactly had they done together? Let's wait. See how long she stays. We waited for 2 hours. Through the windshield, I could see lights on in Derek's third-floor apartment. I imagined what was happening up there. My twin sister with my fiancé pretending to be me. Him having no idea it wasn't actually me. Finally, around 10 p.m., Avery emerged, still wearing my clothes. She got in her car and drove away. I wanted to follow her, but I needed to talk to Derek first. "Stay here," I told Rachel. "If I'm not back in 30 minutes, call me." I walked into Derek's building, took the elevator to the third floor, and knocked on his door. He opened it wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt, looking relaxed. When he saw me, confusion crossed his face. "Lex? I thought you were in Seattle. Can I come in?" He stepped aside. I walked into his apartment, looking around for any sign of Avery. Everything looked normal. "When did you get back? Why didn't you tell me you were coming home early?" "I was never in Seattle." "What? But you literally just left like 2 hours ago. You were here for dinner." "No, I wasn't." Derek looked genuinely concerned now. "Alexis, you're scaring me. You were here. We had takeout from that Thai place you love. We watched an episode of that show you've been binging. You literally just left." "That wasn't me. That was Avery." He stared at me. "Your sister was here pretending to be you?" "Yes." "That's... Alexis, no. I would know the difference between you and your sister." "Would you? Can you tell us apart?" "Of course I can. You're my fiancé. I know you." "Show me the scar on my eyebrow?" He looked at my face, confused. "What scar?" "Exactly. You can't tell us apart. Avery's been pretending to be me for months, and you haven't noticed." Derek sat down heavily on his couch. "This is insane. You're saying your twin sister has been, what, coming to my apartment, going to work events with me, and I've been treating her like she's you?" "Yes." "That's not possible. I would know. There are things about you, the way you talk, the way you move, your personality." "Avery knows all of that. We grew up together. She knows how I act, what I say, what I like. She's been studying me her whole life." "But why? Why would she do this?" "Because she wants my life. She's always wanted what I have." Derek put his head in his hands. I need you to walk me through this. When do you think this started? 6 months ago. Remember when I supposedly brought you lunch, but I didn't remember doing it? That was the first time you mentioned something I had no memory of. So you're saying, for 6 months, your sister has been occasionally pretending to be you. Not occasionally. I think it's been happening regularly. Every time I was out of town for work, every time I had evening commitments, she's been using those gaps to be with you. Jesus Christ. Derek stood up and started pacing. What has she... Have you slept with her? The question hung in the air. Derek's face went pale. I thought it was you. But yes? I can't even process this. Every time I thought I was with you, you might have been with her instead. Derek looked like he might throw up. How do I even know you're really you right now? The scar on my left eyebrow. Look closely. He came closer, studying my face. There it was, a small white line cutting through my eyebrow, barely visible unless you knew to look for it. Avery doesn't have this. I'm the only one who does. Derek touched my face gently, tracing the scar with his finger. I never even noticed this before. Most people don't. How do we fix this? How do we stop her? I don't know yet, but I need you to think back. Try to remember every time you thought I was acting different, or when I didn't remember conversations we had supposedly had. Every time you thought I had mood swings or personality changes. We spent the next hour going through his memories. Turned out there was a pattern I hadn't fully realized before. The me who showed up unexpectedly was always more flirtatious, more adventurous, more agreeable. The me who suggested new things in bed, who was spontaneous about dates, who loved trying restaurants I'd never mentioned liking. She's been playing a version of you, Derek said slowly. A version she thought I'd prefer. A version without my anxiety, my work stress, my bad days. And I liked it. God, I liked it. There were times when she was so easygoing and fun, and then the next day you'd be stressed about work, and I'd wonder why you couldn't be more like you were the day before. You were comparing me to my own twin sister, pretending to be me. The full horror of it was sinking in. Avery hadn't just stolen my identity. She'd been creating an idealized version of me that made the real me look worse by comparison. I need to confront her. Tonight. I'm coming with you. Derek, I don't think... She's been using me to violate you. She's been sleeping with me while pretending to be you. I need to face this too.
We drove to Avery's apartment. It was past 11 p.m., but I didn't care. I pounded on her door until she answered. She opened it wearing a bathrobe. My clothes from earlier folded neatly on her couch where I could see them through the doorway. Alexis? What's wrong? Cut the concerned sister act. I know everything. Something flickered across her face. Know what? I followed you tonight. I watched you go into my apartment, put on my clothes, and drive to Derek's place. Avery's expression changed. The concerned sister mask dropped, replaced with something colder. So you finally figured it out. The casual way she said it, like we were discussing something mundane, made my skin crawl. How long have you been doing this? Since before you got engaged, actually. Remember that weekend you went to your college reunion? I borrowed your car, your keys, your clothes, went to Derek's place and told him you'd decided to skip the reunion to spend time with him instead. That was almost 2 years ago. It's been fun, honestly. Playing you is so easy. You're predictable, Alexis. You have routines, patterns. I just had to figure them out and then improve on them. Improve on them? You're so uptight, always worried about what people think, always following the rules. I've been showing Derek what you could be if you just loosened up a little. He prefers me, the version of you that I created. Derek stepped forward. You're sick. You've been manipulating both of us. Avery's eyes shifted to him and her expression softened into something almost seductive. Derek, come on. You know those nights we spent together were special. I made you happy in ways she never could. You violated me. You made me think I was with my fiancé when I was actually with a stranger. I'm not a stranger. I'm her identical twin. Same DNA, same face, same body. What's the difference, really? The difference is consent, I shouted. Derek didn't consent to be with you. I didn't consent to you stealing my identity. You're making such a big deal out of this. It's not like Derek can tell us apart anyway. To him, I am you. How did you keep getting into my apartment? I changed the locks. She smiled. I made a copy of Derek's key. He has a spare key to your place, doesn't he? I took it one night while he was sleeping. Made a copy, put it back before he noticed. Every new detail made it worse. She'd thought of everything, planned for every contingency. I'm calling the police, I said, pulling out my phone. And tell them what? That your twin sister wore your clothes and visited your boyfriend? That's not illegal, Alexis. Identity theft is illegal. Fraud is illegal. Except I never claimed to be you. I never signed any documents as you, never accessed your accounts, never used your credit cards. I just hung out with your fiancé sometimes. He's the one who assumed I was you. She was right. Legally, she might not have done anything prosecutable. She'd been careful not to commit obvious crimes. But this, she gestured between Derek and me, this is going to eat at you forever. Every time you look at him, you'll wonder which memories are really his time with you versus his time with me. Every time you touch him, you'll think about the fact that he's touched me the exact same way. Every time he says I love you, you'll wonder if he's remembering me when he says it. Derek grabbed my hand. We're leaving. Stay away from both of us. Or what? You'll get a restraining order? On what grounds? I haven't threatened you. I haven't harassed you. I've just been spending time with my future brother-in-law. As we left, I heard her call after us. The wedding's still in 4 months, right? I'll make sure to wear something nice. Wouldn't want to upstage the bride. In the car, Derek and I sat in silence for a long time. We need to cancel the wedding, I said finally. What? No, we're not letting her win. Derek, she's right. This is going to destroy us. Every time you look at me, you'll wonder if you're seeing me or remembering her. Every intimate moment we've had in the past 2 years is tainted now. So we'll build new memories, real ones. How do you even know you love me and not the version of me that she created? That question hung between us, because it was valid. Derek had been falling in love with a composite, part me, part Avery's idealized performance. How could he separate which feelings were for which version? I love you, he said firmly, the real you, the one that gets stressed about work and overthinks everything and can't watch scary movies without covering her eyes, not the fake carefree version she was performing. But you liked that version. You said yourself that you wondered why I couldn't be more like that. Because I didn't know I was comparing you to a literal different person, Alexis. I love you for who you are, all of it, even the parts that aren't easy. I wanted to believe him, but Avery's words kept echoing in my head. Every memory was contaminated now.
Over the next few days, I started the painful process of separating truth from fiction. I asked Derek to go through his phone and find every photo he had of me from the past 2 years. We looked at each one carefully, looking for the scar. In about 30% of the photos, there was no scar visible. Either the angle was wrong or it was Avery. 30%. That meant roughly 1 out of every 3 times Derek thought he was with me, it was actually my twin sister. I calculated dates and times, figured out that Avery had been with Derek approximately 47 times over 2 years, 47 separate occasions where she'd successfully impersonated me. Some of those times were innocent. Coffee dates, quick visits, watching TV together. But others were intimate. Derek estimated that he'd slept with me about 20 times when I definitely hadn't been there. 20 times that my fiancé had been in bed with my sister, both of them believing it was me. The psychological violation was overwhelming. It wasn't just infidelity, it was something more twisted. Derek had been faithful to me in his mind, but his body had been with someone else. How do you even process that? I told my parents. They were horrified but skeptical until I showed them the evidence. The photos, the timelines, Derek's testimony. Even then, my mother struggled to believe it. Avery's always been jealous of you, but this? This is disturbed, honey. We need to get her professional help. She needs to face consequences. What consequences can there be? You said yourself the police can't do anything. She was right. We'd consulted with a lawyer who confirmed that while morally reprehensible, Avery's actions didn't clearly violate any specific laws. Identity theft requires using someone's personal information for financial gain or to commit fraud. What Avery did was identity impersonation for psychological manipulation, a legal gray area. The lawyer suggested a civil suit for emotional distress, but warned it would be expensive, difficult to prove, and might not result in any meaningful consequences. The best thing you can do, the lawyer said, is protect yourself going forward. A restraining order might be difficult to get without specific threats, but you can document everything, change all your passwords, never leave her alone with Derek, and make sure everyone in your life knows there are two of you. So that's what I did. I sent out a mass email to everyone I knew, friends, coworkers, extended family, explaining the situation and asking them to verify it was really me before sharing any personal information. I included a photo highlighting my scar. I changed every password, every security question, every piece of accessible information. I put alerts on my credit reports and bank accounts. I told Derek's coworkers about my twin sister who sometimes impersonates me, making it awkward but necessary. And I had to decide what to do about my relationship. Derek wanted to stay together, wanted to prove that what we had was real despite Avery's interference. But I couldn't get past it. Every time he touched me, I wondered if he was remembering her. Every time he said something about our past, I wondered if that memory included me or Avery. The worst part was the sex. I couldn't be intimate with him without thinking about the fact that he'd been intimate with my identical twin sister while thinking it was me. The physical act felt contaminated. We tried couples therapy. The therapist was kind, but clear. This level of betrayal and violation would take years to work through, and there was no guarantee we'd ever get back to where we were before. The foundation of your relationship has been compromised, she explained gently. You're essentially having to rebuild from scratch while carrying the weight of trauma. It's possible, but it requires both of you to be fully committed to the work. I wasn't sure I could do that work. Every therapy session felt like picking at a wound that wouldn't heal. 3 months after we discovered what Avery had been doing, I made the hardest decision of my life. I gave Derek back his ring. I love you, I told him, but I can't separate you from what happened. Every time I look at you, I see her, and that's not fair to either of us. He cried. I cried. We held each other and mourned the relationship that Avery had systematically destroyed. I wish I could have seen the difference, Derek said. I wish I'd known. She's my identical twin. I even get confused sometimes when I see photos of us together. You couldn't have known. I should have known. I should have noticed something. But he couldn't have. That was the true horror of it all. Avery had exploited the one thing that made her identical to me, and she'd used it to violate both of us in ways we were still trying to understand. After Derek and I broke up, I moved to a different city. Fresh start, new job, new apartment that Avery didn't have keys to. I changed my phone number and blocked her on every platform. She tried to reach out a few times through our parents, always playing the victim. I don't understand why Alexis is so angry. I was just trying to help their relationship by being there when she couldn't be. Our parents stopped enabling her after I showed them everything. Every photo, every timeline, every piece of evidence. They finally understood that this wasn't jealousy or sibling rivalry. This was something pathological. They offered to pay for Avery to get therapy, but she refused. Said she didn't need it, that everyone was overreacting. Last I heard, she'd moved too. Different state, different life. I hope she's getting help, but I also hope I never see her again. It's been a year now since I discovered the truth. I'm in therapy, working through the trauma of having my identity stolen by the person who shares my DNA. Working through trust issues that may never fully resolve. I don't date, can't imagine trusting someone enough to let them close after what happened. How do you tell a potential partner, by the way, I have an identical twin who once impersonated me for 2 years and my fiancé couldn't tell the difference? Sometimes I see twins on the street, identical ones, walking together, clearly close, and I feel this pang of grief for what I lost. Not just my relationship with Derek, but my relationship with Avery. The bond we had as kids before her jealousy twisted into something dark. I wonder if she ever thinks about what she did to me, if she understands the violation, if she feels any guilt at all. Probably not, because in her mind, she was just being me, better than I could be myself.
This story hits different because the betrayal goes beyond cheating. Avery didn't just steal Alexis's identity, she used their identical DNA to replace her in her own relationship. And Derek, he never realized it wasn't his fiancé. For Alexis, every memory with Derek is now tainted. Was that date, that I love you, really with her or with Avery? She'll never know. And Derek's situation is just as disturbing. He thought he was faithful, but was unknowingly intimate with someone else dozens of times. The worst part? Avery faced no real consequences. There's no legal framework for identical twin identity theft in relationships. So what do you think? Could you have stayed with Derek after that? Should he have noticed something? Drop your thoughts below. And if stories like this psychological twin thriller get under your skin, hit like and subscribe for more that'll make you question everything about trust and identity.